Welcome to this amazing story. What you are going to hear is more than just history. It's a warning, a mystery, a big change, a dark journey, and also a lesson. It's the story of a boy who was born with everything: money, love, and comfort. But something in him changed. He didn't become a businessman. He didn't become a leader. He became the most wanted man in modern times. A man whose name made the whole world stop. A man who disappeared for almost 10 years. A man the world wanted to find, dead or alive. But the real story is much deeper. It's not only about what he did, but about how he became that person. How power, belief, pain, and war can change a man and shake the world. This story will take you from rich palaces in Saudi Arabia to hidden caves in Afghanistan, from comfort to fear, from a young schoolboy to a man hiding in silence. And while you listen, you will also learn English. You will grow your vocabulary, understand grammar, and practice listening. So this video is not only about history, it's about your future. By the end, you will know who Osama bin Laden really was. And you will finish this video smarter, stronger, and better in English. So, sit back, take a deep breath. This story will stay in your mind forever. Part 1. The rich boy who would one day shock the world. Let's go back, not to 2001, not to 2011, but to 1957. That's the year Osama bin Laden was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. But he was not born poor. He was not born in a small tent or a war zone. He was born into comfort and wealth. His father, Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden, was not just rich. He was one of the richest men in all of Saudi Arabia. He owned a big construction company and worked closely with the royal family. The bin Laden family lived almost like royalty, rich but not royal. Imagine palaces, servants, private cars, expensive food, and beautiful homes. That was Osama's life from birth. But here's the surprising part. Even with all that money, Osama was different. He was quiet, shy, and polite. He didn't laugh loudly or cause problems. He wasn't like other rich boys. He studied at Al-Thajr Model School in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, a famous school for rich families. Most students there dreamed of becoming successful businessmen, but Osama was not like them. He was very religious. While others played football or watched TV, he spent hours reading and memorizing the Quran. Even at a young age, he believed life should mean more than fun or comfort. Osama was not violent then. He didn't speak about fighting or war, but he had a deep belief in Islam, not just in praying, but also in defending his faith. Teachers said he asked serious questions about religion. During lunch, he often sat in silence, thinking. He didn't flirt with girls. He didn't skip school. He looked like a calm, serious boy, but inside, he was building a strong belief system that would shape his future. When Osama turned 17, something big changed around him. In 1979, when he was still a teenager, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. It was a huge global event. Many Muslims around the world saw it as an attack on Islamic land. That was the turning point in Osama's life. He decided he could not just live rich and quiet anymore. He wanted to act. He left his comfortable life, the family, the cool air-conditioned home, the servants, and went to Afghanistan. There, Osama joined the Mujahideen, Muslim fighters who were resisting the Soviet army. At first, he was not a strong soldier. He was thin, untrained, and not used to war. But he had two big powers: money and faith. He used his family's wealth to buy weapons, build camps, and support fighters. Slowly, people started to respect him. He became more confident, more focused, and more powerful. He was no longer just Osama the Saudi man. He was turning into Osama the fighter, Osama the leader, Osama the Believer. That is where it all started. In Afghanistan, Osama learned how to fight in small groups, guerrilla warfare. He met other extreme leaders and began to think he was chosen for a higher purpose. He saw something dangerous: victory. The Mujahideen, helped by America, Pakistan, and others, defeated the Soviet army. This made Osama believe something that would later shake the world. If we can defeat one superpower like the Soviet Union, then we can defeat anyone.
Part 2. The Birth of Al-Qaeda, the Base of Global Terror. By 1989, the Soviet army finally left Afghanistan. The Mujahideen had won their fight. They had protected their land with great sacrifice. Many fighters went home to their families and peaceful lives, but Osama bin Laden did not go back. Why? Because for him, this was not just one war. It was not only about the Soviets. It was something much bigger. He believed, if we can defeat one superpower, we can defeat another. In Osama's mind, the next great enemy was not the Soviet Union, it was the United States of America. Why America? Let's understand, because this is when Osama's thinking truly changed. In the early 1990s, America had set up military bases in Saudi Arabia, Osama's homeland. They were there after the Gulf War to protect against Saddam Hussein. But Osama became very angry. He believed no non-Muslim army should ever step on the holy land of Islam. He saw America as a country that controlled the Middle East for oil and power. He thought Muslim nations were losing strength by following Western ways. From this belief came his next idea, a dangerous one. If Muslim governments do not protect Islam, then we must fight ourselves. In 1988 or 1989, Osama started a new group. It was small at first, and he named it Al-Qaeda. The word Al-Qaeda in Arabic means the base or the foundation. To Osama, it was the base of a global Islamic army, not only for Afghanistan, but for the entire world. He began recruiting people from Egypt, Sudan, Pakistan, Yemen, Algeria, Iraq, and other countries. Most were young men, poor, angry, and hopeless. They were easy to influence. But now, Osama was not only a fighter, he became a speaker, a planner, and a teacher of dangerous beliefs. He built training camps in Sudan and Afghanistan, where he taught people how to make bombs, use guns, move secretly, and most dangerously, how to hate. Before the attacks of September 11th, Osama and his group tested the world many times. Let's look at some early attacks. Many people still don't know these happened. 1992, Yemen hotel bombing. Osama's men bombed a hotel in Aden, Yemen. Their target was American soldiers. They failed to kill them, but it was the first attack by Al-Qaeda. 1993, World Trade Center bombing. A truck full of explosives went off in the parking area of the World Trade Center in New York. 6 people were killed and over 1,000 were hurt. Osama didn't directly lead this, but the attackers were part of his wider network. It showed that America had now become a target. 1998, U.S. embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. 2 powerful truck bombs exploded outside the U.S. embassies. 224 people died and thousands were injured. This time, the attack was fully planned and done by Al-Qaeda. It proved that Osama and his group were serious and worldwide. 2000, USS Cole bombing. A U.S. Navy ship stopped in Yemen to refuel. A small boat filled with explosives hit it. 17 American sailors died. Osama took full responsibility for the attack. During this period, Osama began releasing video messages. You might have seen some of them. He sat in a cave, wore army clothes, and spoke calmly, but with strong anger. He spoke in Arabic, and the whole world translated his words. He said things like, "America is the enemy of Islam. We will attack until they leave our lands. Jihad is the duty of every Muslim." But here's the scary part. He didn't shout or sound wild. He spoke slowly, like a teacher. Sometimes he even smiled. He looked calm, like a professor giving a lecture. That's why so many young, confused men believed him. He was not just fighting wars, he was changing minds. By the late 1990s, America knew Osama was very dangerous. They froze his bank accounts. They told Sudan and Afghanistan to stop protecting him. In 1998, they even fired missiles to destroy his camps. But nothing worked. He kept moving, kept training men, kept building his army, and kept planning something even bigger. Deep in the mountains of Afghanistan, Osama started to design a plan so huge that it would change history forever. The plan for 9/11. In late 1999 and 2000, Osama brought together a special group, later called the Hamburg Cell. These men came from Germany, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. He gave them one strange order: learn to fly airplanes, but not to fly them safely, to crash them into buildings. They trained in Germany, Malaysia, and later in the United States. They joined flight schools in Florida, Arizona, and other states. They lived like normal people. No one suspected anything. Osama paid for everything and gave the orders from his hideout in Afghanistan. Then he waited. In late August 2001, Osama recorded a secret video message. In it, he smiled and said, "Something big is coming. America will never feel safe again." And soon after that, he disappeared into the mountains, waiting for his plan to unfold. Part 3. The Day the World Stopped. September 11th, 2001. It was a Tuesday morning in the United States. The day was calm and sunny. People were getting ready for work. Children ate breakfast. Planes were leaving the airports as usual. Everything looked normal. But under that calm, something terrible was about to happen. On that morning, Osama bin Laden's plan would start. He had worked on this plan for years. He trained 19 men to die for it. This plan would make him the most feared man in the world. We will go through that day step by step, minute by minute, just as it happened. 5:45 a.m., Boston, Massachusetts. The first two hijackers, Mohammed Atta and Abdulaziz al-Omari, passed through security at Logan Airport. They looked like regular passengers, calm and quiet. They boarded American Airlines Flight 11 going to Los Angeles, but they did not plan to land. At the same time, other hijackers boarded United Flight 175, American Flight 77, and United Flight 93. 4 planes, 19 men, 4 deadly missions. 8:14 a.m. Flight 11 was taken over by the hijackers. On the plane, they stood up, hurt flight attendants, and moved passengers to the back. Mohammed Atta took control of the cockpit. He turned the plane toward New York City. At 8:46 a.m., people in Manhattan saw horror. Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The crash was huge. The plane exploded on impact. The building caught fire right away. Glass and steel fell. Smoke filled the air. Thousands of people worked inside, but many did not know what had happened yet. TV reporters thought it might be an accident. No one could imagine it was an attack. 9:03 a.m., the second hit. 17 minutes later, Flight 175 came and hit the South Tower. People watched live on TV. Now everyone knew this was not an accident. It was a planned attack. At that moment, The whole world changed. 9:37 a.m., the Pentagon was hit. Flight 77 flew low over Washington, D.C. and crashed into the Pentagon, the U.S. military building. The building exploded. Walls broke. Smoke rose. The heart of American defense was burning. 9:59 a.m., the South Tower fell. The South Tower collapsed just 56 minutes after the hit. It came down in a cloud of smoke and dust and screaming. People ran in the streets as the ground shook. Emergency workers were buried under rubble. New York's skyline began to vanish. 9:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashed in Pennsylvania. The fourth plane never reached its target. Passengers learned what was happening on their phones. They fought the hijackers and stormed the cockpit. The plane crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Everyone on board died, but they stopped a worse attack. Their actions saved many lives. After burning for 102 minutes, the North Tower collapsed too. New York was covered in smoke. Ash fell like snow. Firefighters called for help. People looked like ghosts covered in dust. The city had lost two of its most famous buildings. In total, 2,977 innocent people died that day. Victims came from about 90 countries. It became the deadliest terrorist attack in modern history. While the world watched, cried, and searched for loved ones, Osama bin Laden was hiding in Afghanistan. He did not speak at first. He did not quickly say he was behind the attacks. He waited. He wanted the world to feel fear before he showed his hand. Inside, he was smiling. People who knew him later said he said, "America is weak. We hit them in the heart, and they fell like a house of cards." A secret video was later found where he laughed and described the towers falling. That video proved he planned the attacks. America changed that night. Flights stopped. The military went on high alert. Families looked for missing people. People wrote the names of the dead on walls and buildings. That same night, President George Bush told the nation, "We will make no distinction between the terrorists who did these acts and those who support them." The United States soon learned that Osama was hiding in Afghanistan under the protection of the Taliban, the country's strict rulers. America gave the Taliban a clear demand: hand over Osama or face war. The Taliban said no, so the war on terror began. On October 7, 2001, less than a month after 9/11, the U.S. and allies like the UK started bombing Afghanistan. The goal was to break the Taliban, find Osama, and destroy al-Qaeda. But Osama had already gone. He knew the mountains and caves well. He had money and people to help him. As American bombs hit, he slipped away. He hid in Tora Bora, a mountain area full of caves. He moved quietly through tunnels, maybe on foot or on a mule, and crossed into Pakistan. From that moment, he disappeared. America was ready to find him. The world's strongest military entered Afghanistan. Thousands of soldiers searched caves, valleys, and villages. But Osama was not there. He was not captured or killed. He had vanished into the rocks and dust of the mountains. Now we will follow his moves during the 10 years he hid and how the CIA slowly found the clues that led to him. In December 2001, U.S. forces found a network of deep caves in Tora Bora near the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. They believed Osama was hiding there. They dropped big bombs and searched cave by cave. Afghan allies helped too. Still, Osama escaped, probably through secret tunnels and mountain paths into Pakistan. After that, the trail went cold. For years after 9/11, U.S. intelligence thought Osama stayed in the tribal areas between Afghanistan and Pakistan. The CIA and Pakistan's ISI searched caves, villages, phone records, satellite images, and human sources. Nothing gave him his exact location. Osama had become a ghost. He used no phones or email. Trusted men called couriers carried all messages. He left no digital trace. He moved between safe houses in Pakistan. Only a small, loyal inner circle knew his location. These people were deeply committed to him and kept his secret. Even while Osama hid, al-Qaeda stayed active. New terror groups appeared in Iraq, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Attacks in Madrid 2004 and London 2005 showed the group's reach. Osama and his deputy Ayman al-Zawahiri released messages to inspire others. Al-Qaeda had become more than a group. It was an idea, spread by anger and his legend. He was invisible, but powerful. After many failed searches, the CIA changed how they looked. Instead of hunting Osama directly, they hunted the people around him, his messengers, guards, and couriers. One name kept coming up: Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. He was a trusted courier who delivered Osama's messages. The CIA tracked him for years, watching phones, emails, and movements. Slowly, they built a picture of his life. Finally, in 2010, something important changed. The CIA found al-Kuwaiti living in Abbottabad, a quiet town in Pakistan. What drew their attention was the house he lived in. It was not normal. It was odd. The compound was 3 stories tall with high walls, no internet or phone lines, barbed wire and security gates, few windows. The family burned their trash instead of leaving it outside. There were many women and children, but they never went out. No visitors came. Neighbors thought it strange, but stayed silent. For weeks, the CIA watched the house with satellites and agents on the ground. They saw a tall man walk the 3rd-floor balcony, alone. He never left. He never talked outside. He looked like he was in charge. But the CIA had no photo and no proof. Still, they believed it might be Osama bin Laden. In 2010, President Obama was told about the house. His team said, "We found a building. Osama may be inside, but we are not certain." The choice was hard. What if they were wrong? What if Pakistan was angry? What if the mission failed? Obama decided to act. If it was Osama, they would go in and get him. They could not wait.
Planners built an exact model of the Abbottabad compound in a secret site. They studied the walls, doors, and rooms. They picked the best soldiers from SEAL Team 6, the U.S. Navy unit trained for the hardest missions. For months, they practiced the raid on the replica house. Every move was planned. This was not a big war. It was a precise, silent operation. The mission was called Operation Neptune Spear. On April 28, 2011, Obama was told the team was ready. He gave the order to go. No one outside the White House knew. Not Pakistan, not the news. The world had no idea what was coming. The mission would show a clear message: you can run, you can hide, but we will never stop looking.
Part 4. The Night They Found Him. The Raid on Abbottabad. The day was May 1, 2011. It was night in Pakistan. Abbottabad was quiet. People were sleeping. Children had eaten and gone to bed. Most lights were off. The street was calm. But high above, in the dark sky, planes were moving that no one could see. 2 black helicopters flew in the night. They were special Black Hawks, changed to be quiet. They carried 23 Navy SEALs, a translator, a military dog, and many years of training. These men were from SEAL Team 6. This team is the best U.S. unit for hard missions. They went to a high-walled house on Kakul Road in Abbottabad. The CIA thought Osama bin Laden might be inside. At 12:30 a.m., the helicopters reached the house. The job started in total quiet. The helicopters flew low behind the hills to hide. They entered Pakistani airspace without permission. Inside, the SEALs checked their gear and weapons. They put on night goggles. They did not speak. They had no help coming if things went wrong. When they got near the compound, a problem happened. One helicopter tried to hover above the roof so soldiers could jump down, but the heat and the tall walls made it hard to fly. The helicopter began to spin and it crashed. The pilot stayed calm. He put the machine down inside the walled yard. No one was hurt. The plan had to change fast. They could not enter from the roof now. They used explosives to break doors and walls and get inside. The house had 3 floors. The SEALs moved quickly. They cleared each room and level. They shouted in Arabic to surprise the people inside. They found women screaming and children crying. Men hid in panic. But the SEALs did not stop. They were not there to hurt families. They had one target name. They had studied this man for years. They believed he was on the top floor. On the 3rd floor, 2 SEALs reached a bedroom door. They heard voices and a woman screaming. They pushed the door open. Inside was a tall man with a long beard. He wore usual clothes. He did not hold a gun. He did not give up. The SEALs saw his face and knew who he was. It was Osama bin Laden. He stood behind one of his wives. She stepped forward to protect him. The soldiers shot. She was hurt. Then they shot Osama. 2 bullets hit him. He fell to the floor and died. The SEALs kept working. They took Osama's body. They collected hard drives, USB sticks, papers, and other evidence. They took pictures of the body to prove who he was. They found out he had 3 wives and many children living there. His son, Khalid bin Laden, died in the attack too. The house was not a strong fortress. It was more like a prison. He had not left it for years. People nearby heard explosions and gunfire. They saw helicopters. Most did not know what was happening at first. By the time the Pakistani army moved, it was too late. The whole raid lasted 38 minutes. The damaged helicopter was burned to hide its secret parts. Then the SEALs put Osama's body in the 2nd helicopter and left Pakistan. Far away in Washington, D.C., President Barack Obama and his team watched the raid on a screen. They were quiet and tense. Each minute felt long. When the SEALs said Geronimo, EKIA, meaning the enemy was killed, the room stayed still. Then people breathed out. The hunt that had lasted 10 years was over. Officials flew Osama's body to Afghanistan. They took DNA, photographs, and fingerprints. All tests matched. Then, to stop any grave from becoming a shrine, the U.S. buried Osama bin Laden at sea within 24 hours. They followed a form of Islamic practice for burial. The sea burial also meant no one could visit his grave. On May 2, 2011, the world learned the news. President Obama spoke to cameras. He told people the United States had done an operation that killed Osama bin Laden. People wept in many places. In New York and Washington, crowds gathered. Some sang and cheered. They held signs saying, "Justice has been done." Around the world, reactions were mixed. Some people felt relief or closure. Others asked questions about the law and feared more attacks. One fact was clear: Osama bin Laden was no longer a danger. Many people asked how he could hide for so long. Reports later said he had help from trusted men called couriers. These couriers carried messages and supplies. The CIA and other agencies studied this for years. They asked hard questions about who may have known and how safe houses were built. Pakistan also faced many questions. Some officials said they did not know he lived nearby. Other people asked why a large house could stand so close to a military school without notice. The raid changed many things worldwide. It gave grieving families a feeling of closure and also started debates about law, war, and safety. Some feared the raid might cause new attacks. Others said it showed that justice can reach even those who hide.
Part 5. The Ghost and the Legacy. Osama bin Laden was dead. But death is not always the end of the person. Sometimes death begins new questions. Who was he really? What did he leave behind? What did the world learn from him? And why do his ideas still live in the minds of some people? Let's look at what happened after his death. The secrets found, the truths discovered, and the shadows that remained. When the SEALs left Abbottabad, they didn't just take a body. They also took more than 5 computers, over 100 USB drives, papers, letters, notebooks, DVDs, and flashcards. It was the biggest information capture from one terrorist in history. The CIA and FBI worked day and night to study and translate every file. What they found inside shocked everyone. Behind the tall walls, Osama lived 2 lives. He was not only hiding, he was still planning. He was writing, reading, and giving orders. From his journals, people learned many things about his secret life. He was still the leader. Even after years inside the house, Osama continued giving commands to al-Qaeda members in other countries. He sent letters to leaders in Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, and North Africa. He told them who to attack, how to recruit people, and how to spread messages. He was leading his group through messengers, like a general working from far away. He feared technology. Osama told his men never to use phones or the internet. He believed drones and satellites could find him. He was afraid of spies. His house had no Wi-Fi, no telephone, and no TV signal. All his messages were carried by hand. It took time, but it helped him stay hidden for many years. He was worried about al-Qaeda's image. In his private letters, he said too many innocent Muslims were dying in the attacks. He feared that people were starting to hate al-Qaeda. He even wrote about changing the group's name and image to make it look better to the world. The man behind one of the worst attacks in history was now afraid his group looked too cruel. He was still making plans for more violence. Even while hiding, he talked about new attacks. He suggested hitting American trains, big world events, and famous leaders. His mind was always working like a military planner, calm, cold, and focused. Inside the house were his wives and children. When the raid ended, they were all alive. He had 3 wives and many children, including 2 boys who had never left the house. The family was taken by Pakistani officials, and later some were sent back to their countries. His youngest wife, Amal, from Yemen, was shot in the leg but survived. She later told police that Osama never went outside. He prayed, read books, and watched old videos. He told his children not to look out the windows. The children thought the compound was the whole world. They never went to school or made friends. They didn't understand why they had to stay quiet and live in fear. After the raid, one big question shocked the world. How could Osama live in a military city for years and no one noticed? The house was close to a Pakistani army school and near homes of officers and generals. It was not in the mountains. It was in a normal city. The Pakistani government said they didn't know, but many people didn't believe that. Some thought someone was protecting him. Others believed it was failure. No one knows for sure.
but the raid created strong tension between America and Pakistan. Many thought Osama's death would end terrorism, but it didn't. New groups grew. ISIS appeared in Iraq and Syria. Boko Haram became stronger in Africa. Lone attackers rose in Europe. Al-Qaeda became weaker, but Osama's ideas had already spread everywhere. He had turned violence into a global belief. Even without him, others followed his path. That is the danger of an idea. It can live even when the person is gone. Osama bin Laden was not just a man with weapons. He was also a master of using thoughts and emotions. He used religion, anger, and fear to control minds. That is what made him powerful. He knew how to make lost and angry young men feel special. He gave them purpose and made them think they were heroes. He made suicide sound like sacrifice. He turned confusion into belief. He spoke calmly and used simple words. He didn't shout. He made people think he was fighting for something holy. That is why so many followed him, not because he was great, but because he filled their emptiness. And that is what the world still fights against: ideas that use pain to control. Now, let's think deeply. What should we learn from this story? This story is not only about war or politics or religion. It is about something deeper: how belief can become blindness, how pain can become hate, and how power in the wrong hands can destroy lives. Osama bin Laden believed he was doing good. He thought he was a warrior for justice, but in the end, he brought pain to millions, destroyed cities, broken families, and a world full of fear. His story is not to praise, but one to understand, because only by understanding how a man becomes this way, we can stop others from doing the same. He was born into a rich family. He could have lived peacefully and helped people, but he chose anger and violence. He chose death for others, and finally, for himself. He died in a small room, hiding behind his wife, without honor, without a country, and without peace. That is how his story truly ended. This video is made only for education and learning. It is based on real events, records, and reports. We do not support or promote violence or hate in any way. Our goal is to teach, to encourage thought, and to help English learners understand the world through real stories. Peace.